Good evening. My name is Solomon Patray. Today I will be addressing the CEO of the Augusta Medical Hospital about the organization cybersecurity policy and executive summary. What will we learn today? The objectives of the cybersecurity framework include process for creation and changes to different standards, organization needs cybersecurity framework, cybersecurity lifecycle framework and methodology, organization security policy, organization system and network design, organization risk assessment, business impact analysis and business continuity plan, comparison of standard, laws, regulation and policy, incident response and incident handling plans, cybersecurity awareness infographics, and executive summary. The hospital aligned its cybersecurity program with the NIST cybersecurity framework. The framework is a risk-based framework consisting of 5 functional areas: to identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. The NIST cybersecurity framework provides guidance on the alignment of various standards and control to the hospital cybersecurity program. The implementation tier at level 3 is repeatable and help the hospital determine the level of implementation maturity of the cybersecurity program. The hospital profile tailored to specific risks and objectives to help determine current cybersecurity posture and identify areas of improvement. The cybersecurity lifecycle outlines the step required to establish a comprehensive cybersecurity program that supports the organization's strategic initiatives. This includes defining the scope of the program, identifying threats and vulnerabilities, deploying security control, monitoring and assessing the effectiveness of the program, responding to incidents. The cybersecurity framework uses ISO 27001, COVID, and CIS control to establish, manage, and help align the hospital with the health industry best practices and ensure that the cybersecurity program supports the organization's strategic initiative. The organization utilizes appropriate methodologies such as threat modeling, risk assessment, and security audits to ensure the program is effective. The hospital security policy are broad, well-outlined plans, rules, practices, and procedures that control the retrieval of information from its system. It protects the entire organization as well as individual employees. It ensures compliance with regulatory requirements and adopt plans that offer data confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It embodies technical measures within the industry standard reduction of specific threat, overall risk, and procedural mechanisms to access and mitigate these vulnerabilities and risks, to identify gaps in security policy and make necessary adjustments to maintain a robust security posture. The organization, an overview of the networking, the organization system and network design is really an overview of the network infrastructure, including network architecture, system components, and connection used to identify potential vulnerability and to ensure that the organization's security controls are properly implemented. The hospital conducts risk assessments to identify areas of risk within the organization, including analysis of asset threats, vulnerability, and potential impact. The business impact analysis was conducted to identify potential consequences of security breach or other disruption to the organization operation. A business continuity plan was developed to provide guidance on how to respond and mitigate the impact of security incident or other business disruption. For a cybersecurity program, different types of standards are established. Laws and regulations are mandatory standards and must be followed. Example, the HIPAA Act. Policy and voluntary standards are typically adopted by the organization, like the NIST Cybersecurity Framework is voluntary and is a self-certification mechanism. Framework-based standards provide guidance on how to meet the requirement of laws, regulation, and policy. Example, ISO 27001. The hospital incident response and incident handling plan define how the organization responds to incident, including roles and responsibility of the incident response team. The plan includes procedures for identifying and responding to incident as well as for mitigating the impact of the incident. A structured process is followed that includes preparation, detection, analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery. Infographic combine the latest cybersecurity information with appealing visuals to help the organization understand the type of threats and how to mitigate, defend against, respond to, and tackle cyber threats. Infographics can also include employee role in protecting the organization environment. There's an executive summary. The goal of the hospital cybersecurity program is to improve the integrity of the network information system, threat risk identification, access assets management to bolster its security posture. The hospital is aligned with the NIST cybersecurity framework. A combination of security control implemented by the hospital include firewalls, intrusion detection and prevention system, access control list, and cryptographic technology to defend against cyber attack. Some of the cybersecurity risks and vulnerability the hospital experiences include ransomware. These are malware that infect the system until payment is granted. Mitigate this with employee and end user training. Insider threat, disgruntled employees selling company information. You mitigate this by employing least privilege and zero trust security. Other include phishing attack and third-party vendor risk. Risk assessment finding included a lack of security control over patient records and some non-compliance with HIPAA laws, which put the organization at risk. Installation of firewall and multi-factor authentication will mitigate these vulnerabilities. Contingency plans are implemented and prioritized to close the compliance gaps and include business continuity, disaster recovery, and incident response component. A combination of security control implemented by the hospital, firewall intrusion, detection, prevention, access control list, and cryptographic defend against cyber attack. The hospital departments for compliance and regulatory integrity interprets regulation and provide counsel in drafting hospital bylaws and policy. A thorough understanding of the vulnerability embedded in web applications listed in OWASP will help bolster the overall security of the hospital, as explained in the infographic to the left. In conclusion, the organization's cybersecurity program reinforced the significant use and deployment of the cybersecurity framework to increase visibility, reduce risk from malicious activity, improve security posture, and enhance infrastructure to secure an organization's intellectual property. Using the various control policy, best practices, and implementation guides, the organization established a security framework that's secure and aligns with an appropriate regulation. These are my references. Thanks for looking in.